Hey guys, and welcome back to the Renari Podcast, where we spill the chai on everything related to craftsmanship, sustainability, conscious biz, and art. Today we have with us a very special guest and a dear friend, Anja. Thank you so much for joining us. Ever since I think we texted on Link, we've just been in contact ever since, exchanging messages. I've learned so much more about her work. And I think even the first time we connected, we were like, we need to do this podcast. So here we are 3 months later, finally doing it.
Yeah, Suhani, I'm so grateful to be here. And I mean, it was very such a great encounter. I felt a really good energy. And for me in my work, everything is about energy. And if I feel something really
Yeah.
good, connected, warm-hearted, and I'm really thankful, grateful that we are doing this podcast. And I really appreciate the episodes. I really love it.
Thank you so much. And like just a little background about her. She's been living in Paris for over 2 decades. She does a lot of work with abstract art and a lot of colors. And um, basically, she also studied there. And she not only does these like artworks, but she also puts her artworks on different textiles and fabrics, which is really cool, like scarves and it's also there in the background behind, which I love the setup. Is there something else you would like to add about yourself before we start?
Oh, you know what? Not really. I absolutely trust that you have great questions for me.
Okay, perfect. I want to start with the beginning because now you're living in Paris for over 2 decades and you went to art school in Paris as well. So how did it begin for you?
Already as a child, I had a really rich inner world. For example, I invented myself a lot of I don't even a sister. I imagined that I had a sister. Her name was Olukababe in Africa. I don't know why. When I was already 4, and there were a lot of things going on in my head, and I loved to express them. So I started when I was a child to draw, to write little books and
Yeah.
everything, to illustrate them. And I've been grown up in a really little city in Germany. It's called Eckernförde. Nobody knows it.
Mhm.
And I always dreamt about Paris. I don't know. It was really my dream. For me, Paris was something so beautiful, so rich with the art history. And the
Yeah.
first time I went to Paris, I visited the art school, Rue Bonaparte, and I entered there in this historical hall, and I saw all these sculptures, and I could really feel all these great artists who were there, like for example Bonnard. I really loved the color harmonies of Pierre Bonnard, and later even Louis Bourgeois. And I really felt I must study here. And
Yes.
that is where it started, in fact. And then I
Wow.
came to Paris when I was 19.
Wow. And now, like, you continue to live there. And, like, as you mentioned, Paris is a city with such rich history and art. How has this inspired your art and you as a person?
Yeah, perhaps I could respond to you with a little story. I
That would
came
be
to Paris.
great. That would be great.
Yeah, I came to Paris when I was 19 years old. I came there alone. And of course, I was a little bit frightened, but also really excited. And I worked as a jeune fille au pair, uh,
Okay.
taking care of children. And then I went to one of my favorite museums here. I discovered is Musée Rodin, with all these sculptures everywhere, and Camille Claudel, also the sculptures of her that I really love. And I was drawing them. And at a moment, I saw a really handsome guy coming there looking at the sculptures. And I don't know what, I felt some kind of connection.
Yeah.
Um, and I said to myself, wow, I don't know, there's something. Well, then I lose sight. I did my stuff. I didn't see him again. I said to myself, oh, what a pity. And then suddenly I saw him. He was just leaving. And then I took all my courage. My French was so good. I went to him and I said to him, sorry, I'm Anja. I'm a painter and I would love to do a portrait of you one day.
Oh,
And yeah, then he became my boyfriend for several years. It was a really
wow.
beautiful day.
You
And
came
this
to
is what,
Paris for all the right things.
yeah, and this is what Paris was about for me. It's about a synonym of courage, of freedom, and also of reinventing yourself to create what you want in your life. So,
Do you
yeah.
have that portrait with you? Like, I'm so curious to like see it now.
Oh, this is a nice question. It had, right, I absolutely have to ask him. We are still in contact. It's such a warm-hearted person, but unfortunately not. It would have been great,
Okay.
but I didn't even know I would tell you the story. Yeah, but it took a lot of courage, but it was
No,
good.
it
It was
does.
good.
It does. I g- and you were just 19, right, at the time when you moved there.
I was really young. Yeah,
No, I can
right.
understand that feeling because when I moved to Milan, I was like 20. So,
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
you're so new. You don't know really the codes. You are there. So I mean, but it's I think always in life, when you are courageous, when you do something really from your heart, life gives so much back to you. Always.
I agree with you completely. And when you started off painting, did you mainly start with portraits? Was that like your niche initially?
Yeah, I started, in fact, I wanted to learn painting um, from with all the basics, when I was accepted finally in the art school in Paris. It was a really great moment.
Mhm.
Then I said to myself, I want to learn to draw, to make sculptures, to really represent what I see, because for me, an artist should do this. And I
Right.
started a lot also with the theme of couples, some kind of erotic paintings also. And then, and it's in a certain at a certain time, it wasn't enough freedom for me to do all these realistic things.
Right. Okay. And can you walk us through the process of how the application was? I'm sure like the younger people listening that also have this dream to pursue art, it could like really help them out. If you could speak a little
Yeah,
bit about how you got accepted.
absolutely. It would be a pleasure to do this. I mean, I'm not so young. Yeah, it's nearly no 30 years ago. So I don't know if they changed something in the application methods, but I think basically perhaps the same. In fact, I remember that there were several things. No, the first thing you have to do is to put a dossier with paintings, or whatever you have, sculptures or photographs. And you gave them this, and then they make a selection. And the first time I wasn't selected. I think my paintings wasn't personal enough.
Okay.
And then the next year I tried it again. I took a lot of art lessons. It helped me a lot. And then they selected my paintings. And after you have some kind of three different examens that you have to pass, and one of them, and that was the hardest one for me, I had to present my paintings in front of a lot of people. And I was so frightened. And I
I can
remember that I
imagine.
said to them, I mean, I had all my paintings, there was couples and everything. And I was there and I started, yeah, um, I love to paint naked people. And that was laughing. Horrible. And it was, oh my God. And my French was perfect at this time. But I mean, I made it.
This thing
Yeah.
that you mentioned, like not only from you, but I've heard this from other artists as well. Like it's very hard for them to speak about their own work.
Yeah,
Like you can create something super great, but like they don't really want to speak a lot about it. Like I don't know if that's a stereotype or like how, but I've heard this like a couple of times.
mm. Yeah, it's not easy because, in fact, perhaps even if you really had the words to speak about it, perhaps you wouldn't even paint. I did also a PhD in French literature, and I studied the interaction between poetry and painting. And what was so fascinating for me is why a poet worked with a painter, and because poetry, such as painting, is something as a hidden language, a language
Yeah.
behind the language. And it
Yeah.
was really fascinating to find words to express this. And this is always something I'm doing. And it's so great when you find finally words to
Yeah,
put on colors, on emotions. Yeah, it's not
exactly.
easy.
And you've said that a lot, like some of the paintings you've done have come out of like you going through something in your personal life, and that is getting translated onto the canvas. So, how has this helped you in your personal struggles, painting?
Mm. I love this question, Suhani, because yeah, it helped me a lot. It was kind of a little bit also my own therapy, my
Mhm.
art therapy that I'm doing, because when I paint, it feels like um, I try to allow every emotion, all of the emotions, even ones we don't usually don't like to feel, as fear, as sadness, everything. And is this some, for example, here for people who look at our YouTube video, this is a painting. You can imagine it at the very it's called In the Heart of the Abyss.
Okay,
So you can imagine dark green, blue colors, but there's always some light everywhere. And this is what's so important for me. Even if you have really difficult periods, difficult emotions, the thing that is positive about it, that you feel really the intensity of life, you know.
that's true.
And I don't know if you have time. I can also tell you a little story, but perhaps not necessary.
No,
What
I
what do
think
you
you
want?
can because I think it's so nice and personal to know like stories. It like really helps the person to even get to know you as an artist, to whoever's listening.
Yeah, then I will tell you one, because I had a really, really horrible experience in my life, and I'm not the only one. I know that especially women can experiment this in their life. Of course, I have been several years ago. I have been drugged by a person I trusted in, and I didn't know this. And when I realized it, it was kind of terrible, of course. And then I went to the emergency center in a hospital in Clichy, where my atelier here is. I was in this room, sitting there, the emergency room, and I was saying to myself, my God, I feel so horrible, devastated, desperate. And there's nothing where I look here that gives me a little bit hope, because people who come here are desperate.
Yeah.
And then I said to myself, after this experience, I absolutely have to do something good with it. I have to transform it. And then I offered a really big painting to the hospital. It's called Explosion of Spring, with a lot of colors, and they put it in the hospital because I said to myself, I can transform this. Sometimes we have really hard experiences, but we choose what we want to do with it.
Yeah.
And if it can give something to other people, this is great. So even the hardest experiences, I think, and also it makes us a more empathic person. If I can now understand people who had the same experience, for example.
Thank you so
Mm-mm-mm.
much for sharing that. And I think it's really like brave of you to come out there and say it. And I think people can also resonate with it that are not able to tell their story. So I think it's going to be very helpful to everyone that's listening.
I hope so. Mm.
And on the topic of your paintings, you also have this collection called Invincible Summer. Can you walk us through your entire inspiration for that? And I love like the ring that it has to it, like I can just imagine like such a nice, colorful collection.
Yeah, in fact, this expression comes from Albert Camus. He said, in the heart of the winter, I felt in myself something like an invincible summer. And it really is resonating with me, um, because I mean, I really had a hard time in Germany. I was victim of mistreatment in my family. I felt really alone already when I was 3, 4. I thought that I really felt I'm here alone. If I want to change something, I have to do it on myself. There's nobody who will help me. And but this gave me also a lot of strength, in fact. And I always feel something very powerful inside of me. And I think this is something I really want to translate with my art, with my colors. That even sometimes the hardest moment, let us feel life in all its globality. Because if you don't know what it is to feel really sad and really alone, you can't even valorize what it means to feel really loved and really connected. And this is why. Um, Also, these horrible experiences gave me the strength to express a lot of contrasts in my art. The contrasts are very important, and it's also a question always of balance. And I think we all have this inside of us. You can call it invincible summer. You can also call it something like the true love. I think we are all human. We are all spiritual beings in a human body. And I think which connects us all is this feeling of inside of us of unconditional love. And this is also why I love Indian spirituality, because there's really the thought of interconnection.
And some of your work is inspired by Indian colors, culture. Can you like walk us down through like maybe one piece? I don't know if there's something from the collection with you right now, or just your whole thought process. Just a specific piece you can talk about that you want to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Difficult to say because there are so many works here around me. um, because in fact, I'm really inspired also of yoga, of Iyengar yoga. It teaches. I'm doing yoga a lot. I
Oh,
also
wow.
went. Yeah, I went to yoga retreats recently, also in Thailand, and yeah, and for me it's really it helps me to have more balance between my feelings, my mind, and also awareness. This is
Yeah.
really important. And what I love in Indian culture is also this philosophy that everything has a spirit, even of course a plant.
Yeah.
And I really feel this, and this feeling that we are all interconnected. And yeah, and of course the colors in India. This is all the textiles, or this is something for me so amazing. And I've never been to India, but I
I was
absolutely
like,
have.
that was my next question. Have you been there before? You should definitely
No.
visit. I think you can get like a lot of inspiration, especially like where my mom's family comes from. I don't know if you've heard of Rajasthan. It's this state in India where we have the city called Jaipur, which is very
Mm,
colorful. It's called like the Pink City. And there's
wow.
like a lot of tradition, culture there. And they have a lot of mirror work, like a lot of different like crafts also originate from there. So it's like a really nice place.
I would love to come there definitely one day. And and I also have a couple of Indian friends, and I don't want to do really big generalizations, but these are all such warm-hearted people, and it's really something I love about this culture. I don't know. Yeah, I definitely have to come there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I then want to ask you, after like 20 years of painting and exhibiting, how do you feel your artistic voice has evolved from when you started to now?
I think when I started, I was um, I was 19. I was really young, and I had a lot of issues I had to deal with from what I told you, the hard experience in my family. I even break the contacts with my parents. It was very very hard, and so in the beginning, I had to in a certain way, I have had to pull all these hard things out. And I did really strange paintings. I mean, really with a lot of fear inside. If you would see them, perhaps I can send you some and
No,
you can
I
even,
would love to look at like the old work
yeah,
if
you can even perhaps put it, I don't know, however you want, in
I
the
would love to do like a post going from your, like where you started, maybe like your first few paintings to like what your paintings are now. You know, it really like shows, I mean, not only your work, but as you said, it's so personal, how you have evolved. It's like your personal journey through the
yeah,
paint.
because I think you will get fear from it because it was really some kind of like a little bit Munch, Edward Munch, the crying person, uh, very traumatized paintings. But I mean, I had to do them. I had to do this, and then okay, after all this process, at a certain point, I said to myself, I also want to liberate myself from this figurative stuff because it's the same for somebody who look at a painting. I mean, I love figurative art, but the person who looks at a figurative painting, she can't let her spirit fly slowly because you already have a kind of representation. You don't have the freedom to have the representations in your mind, and that is what I love about abstract. And so I started to do some collage, and
Okay.
it helped me, in fact, to just play with colors, and my life became also, because it's always an interaction, became more joyful, and I allowed myself to play a little bit. Before, I really wanted to do things good in a figurative way,
So,
and
like a perfectionist, you would say, like you were a perfectionist before.
yeah,
Bit of,
yeah. And then I allowed myself much more joy and playing, and I don't know. And I think that now, I think you can feel this also in my paintings, because did also some more paintings with more white spaces
okay.
also, and um, there were a kind of more respiration, like in my life,
Yeah.
less pressure, more fun, more joy, more lightfulness. It's just very interesting how these things evolve. Yeah.
Yeah.
I responded your question. Sorry.
No, you did. I think you spoke about it so well. And do you have a certain process, like let's say before you need to start a collection, do you have something like this is what I want to do? Or is it more like you see things, you get inspired, and then you decide you want to paint them?
That's a really great question. I do a lot of kind of intuitive paintings. For example, some months ago, I came back from a trip to Barcelona. I really loved this trip. I met in the street a girl. I just asked her, "Oh, I'm looking for a biological bakery," and then we started a conversation. Her name is Martha, and with Martha, we had a great connection, as you and I also. And she was an artist, and then she invited me at her art studio, and I did a YouTube video with her,
Oh,
and with a
wow.
really, yeah, with a great friend of her, Frances Artigau. It's a really famous artist in Barcelona. Such a warm-hearted man too, old man now, but
Yeah.
really great energy. And then I did some paintings after with a little bit. It's a lot of orange colors, so really warm-hearted, because I had such a so great connections there,
Yeah.
and I was wondering, when I was painting, I said to myself, yes, orange was also the color of all these orange trees in Barcelona. You just wander out and you see an orange tree, and so sometimes as the painting is speaking to me, I said to myself, yes, of course, this color,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like a very intuitive process.
And so then those pieces like come together and form a collection. So like there's no particular theme that you think of before, like I need to do this, but it's more like the way you're feeling and then it like comes together as a collection.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, it's a bit the same things about my clothes, you know. Sometimes I make some encounters, very great encounters. And somebody, for example, my naturopath, I hope it's the same thing in English.
Yeah.
She's kind of doctor, and she saw my trousers, and she said to me, "Oh my God, I really love this trousers that I created in silk."
Yeah.
Because I love to work with silk, even with my skirt here that I'm wearing is also in silk. And I did another one for her. And then there was a friend of mine who did me, oh, I would love to have some kind of shirt in the same one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I let it flow a little bit, you know. I I have, of course, a frame. I know that I want to do 3, 4, 5 pieces, but I'm
Yeah.
always really open. Yeah, but of course, I have something also like a color frame when I have a new collection, a new clothes collection. I say to myself, okay, these are very powerful colors together. I want to have this collection,
Correct.
or another one. This is more softer. Yeah, but it's very
And
open.
can you speak about like when did you think of transforming your designs onto like making clothes out of it or scarves? How did that idea come about?
Yeah, in fact, one day I saw one of my collectors, Patricia. She's a very dear friend now also, and I met her already in the beginning. And she's also a great businesswoman. She always encouraged me a lot, and always bought also my paintings, like kind of mecene a little bit also. Great person. And one day she told me, "Oh, Anja, I love your paintings so much. I would love to be all the time surrounded by them." It
Right.
was such a nice compliment, you know. And I said to myself, oh, to be all the time surrounded by something. But for example, you can be surrounded with a scarf, you know. You can
Yeah.
put it on you. In fact, if you love it so much, put it on you and take it with you. And it was such a nice compliment from her. And I said to myself, yes, I should do something that people even can wear my art, you know.
Yeah.
And so I started with it. And I started with the scarves. And one day I took my, how you say this in,
Scissors.
oh, sorry. Yeah, scissor. I took it and I put a hole here in the middle. And then I put it all over me. And I said to myself, I should do something with it, you know. And then came the idea of clothes were worn. In fact.
I can vouch for that as someone that's worn your scarf. I think if you, whoever buys it, like you will stand out for sure.
Yeah, and you
Definitely.
wear it so beautifully.
Thank
Really,
you.
I would love to make you wear all my clothes here.
Soon,
Sure,
if I end up coming to Paris, I can definitely do a shoot for you.
and be my model. Absolutely.
And I want to end it with like one piece of advice you would want to give to someone starting out in the creative field.
I love this question. Thank you so much. One advice, there's so much I would love to give because one of the most important perhaps is um, you really don't need to be allowed from anybody. If you really feel from your heart that you want to do something, I mean, it can be everything. Huh? Can be to play an instrument, can be to do painting,
Yeah.
can be to help other people. Please just go ahead, do it. Don't ask yourself so many questions and don't find so many excuses not to do it. Just do it, do it. As you with your podcast, just
Thank you.
start because so important because we have
Yeah.
all some
You get so
everybody has.
caught up in your head, like, will it be nice? Will I get this? Will I reach enough people? How will people react to it? Like, before starting something, you think like, it has to go like perfectly, or I need like a plan of 1 year of what I'm gonna do. Like, but sometimes it's just about like starting it and then seeing where it goes.
Absolutely. And allow yourself to make mistakes and try really not to focus on what other people can think about you. I know it's very hard because I saw a podcast and it's three of our biggest fear. The first one is the fear of death, and already the second one is the look that other people can have on you. Do you imagine? This is something that blocks us all so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
And just should do it. Just do it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think it was a great episode, and I think even I learned so much more about you and your artwork, and it was truly like so engaging. Thank you guys for listening. We're going to be back again next week with another chai-worthy episode.
Thank you so much, Suhani. And I could continue hours to do this. Your questions are so great, and you're
Thank
such a
you.
warm-hearted person. Thank you